How's it going, everyone? I hope you're having a great day. Today we got a story time of a spoiled kid who genuinely believes that he is a king, like he is royalty, and everyone else is his servant, and they must respect him because he is king of the third grade, or whatever grade he was in. I know you guys will enjoy this story, so sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump right into it. So anyways, right, we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Alex. And in Alex's third grade class, because let's say, I know that they were young when this happened, or Alex told me, because he submitted the story to my Instagram. You can do the same. I tell stories you guys submit to me. Anyways, Alex, said that this was a long time ago when he was much younger. There's a kid in Alex's class who we're going to just call the spoiled kid. And because he was very simply the spoiled kid. He always had a air of arrogance and entitlement, and the list goes on from there around him. I don't really know how else to say it, but you understand what I mean. So, over the time of everything, just being told that he deserves everything and he is the best and he gets everything that he wants. After the spoiled kid learned about kings and queens of ancient times and how there were peasants and royalty and whatever, he kind of put two and two together. Well, incorrectly, he did 2 + 2 = 5, but he put it together and believed that since kings back in the day were treated with they got everything they wanted and they were respected by everyone and they could do no wrong, and that he believed that he deserved everything and that his parents would basically give him anything he wanted, that therefore he is also a king. So he kind of came to this bit of delusion, and he went with it. He really did run with it. So anyways, this all really started to happen one day in class. So anyways, Alex is sitting towards the back of the room. He's kind of with his friends, and also the spoiled kid is there. And the spoiled kid doesn't have that many friends. And you might be thinking, oh, Connor, that's sad. It's yes, it is sad. But also the thing is, sometimes people don't have friends because, socially anxious, socially awkward. They just, there's things that I definitely feel bad and I can sometimes, at some points in my life, completely relate to. But sometimes people don't have friends because they're the worst. That's sometimes just what happens, right? So sure enough, Alex is, just sitting there, and the spoiled kid is sitting in the back too. And Alex happened to sit down with his friends first, and then the spoiled kid sat back there. And so the class is beginning, and Alex is kind of paying attention, but he's also just talking with his friends. And sure enough, right, his friends and him are sitting there, and they hear a little noise, right? They hear and this kind of just why did this kid clear his throat? So they turn around, they look at the spoiled kid, and he says, "Good day, peasants, how goes it?" And the thing is, right, the spoiled kid, after believing or convincing himself that he was a king, decided that he was going to speak all old-timey and old-fashioned, or really how he believed someone would speak back in the day, not actually how they did. And Alex and his friends kind of looked at each other, because, here's the thing. You're sitting in class, and this kid who's kind of annoying, but you don't really know, says, "Good morning, peasant." What? Genuinely, how do you react to that? How do you, sit down and just take, oh, yeah, this kid just called me a peasant. That's cool. That's great. That's cool. So Alex and his friends, they more or less decide to ignore it and move on, and they're just "What's up?" "Hi." Because they're not going to engage in, I don't know, lively and great conversation with this guy after he's just called them peasants, but they're also not going to make a big deal out of it because they're not trying to have a problem. It's just so unnecessary. Sure, this kid's insane, but whatever, man. So sure enough, they kind of turn around, and then they hear ahem. So Alex turns around and is okay, what? What's going on here? And once again, who made the noise? The spoiled kid. Of course, the spoiled kid made the noise here. He's "Peasants, I need a pencil. Which of you will give your king a pencil?" Kids all look at him. And Alex is "You need a pencil, bro?" And the spoiled kid goes on to say, "Do not call your lord bro. That is disrespectful." Alex is kind of just like, okay, this is kind of weird now. Like, it was kind of strange in the beginning, but I kind of just brushed it off. But now it's just like full blown really weird and uncomfortable, and it's just really awkward at this point. So Alex is like, okay, dude, like, yeah, I got a pencil if you need one. And the spoiled kid goes, chop, chop, and he, like, claps his hands or whatever. And Alex turns to all of his friends, and his friends are looking at him like, bro, this kid, bro, I swear, like, this kid, dude, I swear to God, like, some days, bro, I swear. And Alex, Alex is nice and decides to give him a pencil. And the spoiled kid says, and for your service, here is 1 penny. Spend it wisely. Go feed your family, little peasant. And Alex looks at, like, he holds out his hand, or he doesn't hold out his hand, but he, like, looks at the penny that was just placed on his desk and looks up and is like, thanks, I guess. Like, okay. Like, the thing is, I don't really know, like, how's Alex supposed to react? I mean, this guy just acted like giving Alex a penny just, saved his life. Like, oh my God, thank you. Now I can grow wheat for the next rotation. Thank you, Lord, spoiled kid. Your blessings are so kind. I don't know, man. So this is the beginning of when Alex realized that this kid was kind of like, he was kind of doing his own thing in the worst possible way. Unfortunately, a couple days later, so Alex did not sit next to this. Alex and his friends did not sit next to this kid for a little while. But a couple days later, because of the shenanigans that happened the day before, a couple days later, right? The teacher has a group assignment, and group assignments always scare me, especially when they're randomized. Because you might be put in a group with someone, even if you just get one person who is just, like, really good, they could completely carry you. Obviously, always put in the work with these things. But if you get at least one good person, it's going to be a good experience. But with my luck, bro, I'm always putting, like, Look, I'm not always doing the greatest in class either. And that's the time when I really do need the person who's doing well. But with my luck, I'm always put in the group with the people who just are not even going to try ever, and I know 100% is going to be on me. So I'm always afraid of group projects. But Alex was just kind of sitting there, or back to the story, back to the story. Alex was sitting there with his friends, and Alex was really hoping that it would be him and his friends. And so the teacher didn't even really do it randomly. He's like, okay, Alex, and he kind of points to all of his friends, right? He's like, oh, you guys can be a group. Alex's friends turn to each other. That little bit of excitement when you and your friend are put in a group together, you already know that feeling. And the teacher goes, oh, okay, also, spoiled kid over there doesn't have a group. He's going to be with you guys. And Alex just turns to the teacher and just kind of gives him a look. Like, isn't obviously trying to be, like, a jerk about it, but is like, really, bro? Really? Are you serious right now? But, like, come on. You had it so good. You had it so good. So good. And you had to do me like that? Really? Is that how we're playing it right now? Are you serious? Why? Anyways, right, so they have to deal with reality. And Alex and his friends, they go over because now the teacher says, okay, go and decide how you're going to split up the work. And Alex totally forgot about how nonsense this kid has been recently. So Alex goes over with his friends and he's like, he remembers, because he's like talking with his friends. And that's when he remembers, oh my God, I totally forgot. Like, this kid is also ridiculous as well. And, they sit down and the spoiled kid is like, hello, peasants. We have a task at hand. As your king, as your ruler, I will decide who does what. And so it was like a writing project, but remember, these kids were in like 3rd grade, so it was like, write about apples and fairies. It can be 3 sentences long. Like, it wasn't that bad. But it was like a page worth, and they had 4 paragraphs to do or something. Or let's say 5 paragraphs, because we're going to say that there's 5 kids, counting Alex's friends and the spoiled kid. So the spoiled kid is like, okay, friend number 1, I'm not going to give them names. You do paragraph 1. Friend number 2, you do paragraph 2. Friend number 3, you do paragraph 3. And it was looking like the spoiled kid was divvying up 1 paragraph to every single person. So when it came turn, like, for Alex to hear what he was getting, the spoiled kid says, and Alex, you get paragraph 4 and 5. And Alex is like, what? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Because, like, bro, there's 5 of us. There's 5 paragraphs. That is literally the easiest splitting up I have ever seen. Like, it could not be any cleaner to split it up by giving one person per paragraph. It legitimately could not be cleaner. But no, of course not. So Alex goes on to say the very obvious question of, like, dude, with all due respect, there's 5 paragraphs and 5 of us. Shouldn't we just do it 1 paragraph per person? Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? And the spoiled kid legitimately thought that this was funny. He started to laugh. He was like, ha ha ha, like, all right, oh, peasant, you always make me laugh. You are so funny. I don't know. And at this point, like, Alex is like, also, bro, why are you calling me peasant? Like, that's really weird. Like, I don't know if that's, like, you think that's a thing to, like, call people, like, how you might say, like, hey, that's my bro or whatever. But no one calls people their peasants. And the spoiled kid's like, of course people don't call them their peasants. Like, that would make absolutely no sense. Also, epic Minecraft play right there. I'm so good at Bed Wars. Anyways, sure enough, you know, the spoiled kid is like, well, I'm the king, and you're all my peasants. So of course I would call you my peasants. And also, I'm the king. Why would I do the work? All I do is sit here and tell you what to do. And Alex is like, bro, it's not going to fly. And at this point, he's like, are you trying to, at this point, like, the spoiled kid was starting to, like, he was at a loss for words. Because he believed that everyone believed that he was the rightful king and the stuff like that, right? He was the rightful king and he deserved to be, like, how dare you speak against the king type business, right? So Alex turned to his friends and Alex is like, bro, okay, we're not going to do the 5th paragraph. Us 4 are going to do the first 4. The 5th paragraph is probably the easiest paragraph. Just do it. It's not that hard. And when we come in Friday, because it was Wednesday that day, we're all going to have our paragraphs. We'll put them together, and then we'll turn it in, okay? And the king says, this is mutiny. This is ridiculous. And Alex and his friends his friends start to back up Alex, like, bro, no, like, you're being ridiculous here, saying that, like, you're better than someone because you're the king or whatever, and you don't have to do it because you're the king. What does that even mean, man? And at this point, the spoiled kid is starting to get really, really angry. And Alex decides to end it like, okay, you know, if you don't do the work, we're just going to tell the teacher that you refuse to do the part that you had to do, and you'll get a bad grade. It's really up to you on this one. We're giving you the easiest part, so, like, we're being generous with it. We'll see you Friday. Because they didn't have this class on Thursday. The idea was their homework assignment was to write one part of the assignment that they were going to turn in as a group on Friday. So anyways, on that Thursday, Alex and his friends were sitting at the lunch table, and they were talking, and Alex's friends were like, or one of Alex's friends who's in the group posed the question like, yo, Alex, do you think that, you know, the spoiled kid's actually going to do it? And Alex is like, you know what? I really don't care either way, because one way, he does it, and we all get a good grade. But the other way, I get to turn in that kid who's been acting like a jerk for the last couple days to the teacher, and I get to have quite the show, right? So Alex is like, you know what, man? I don't care. Either way is good with me if I'm being serious right now. If I'm being serious right now, either way is good with me. So anyways, finally, it's the day that we've all been waiting for. It is Friday. And anyways, it's now officially Friday, and they get into class. And Alex is looking at the spoiled kid, who doesn't because, like, everyone came into class with a piece of paper. Because, look, maybe some people wrote more paragraphs than others. Maybe some people did something else. But everyone came in with a piece of paper with something written on it, and they all went to their groups. And Alex and his friends were sitting down at their table, and they were waiting for the spoiled kid to enter the classroom. And sure enough, the spoiled kid enters the classroom, and he has kind of a strut to him. He started to develop a, I am better than you because I'm the king strut. I don't know if that's a thing, but use your imagination, guys. Come on now. And he very clearly did not have a piece of paper with him. Alex was still holding out that maybe he did it, and the piece of paper was in his backpack because he did have a backpack on. So they all sat down. And, the spoiled kid sat down and kind of like raised his nose to them and looked away. That kind of like very cliche, like someone's being like snobby and looking away and being in disgust, like, oh, or whatever. Just imagine that, but with the spoiled kid, right? And Alex is like, yo, do you do your paragraph? And he says, do the paragraph? I thought we had an agreement that I was your king and you were to do as I said. And Alex is like, all right, bet. And he gets up and he walks to the teacher, right? And the spoiled kid is like, the teacher knows my position in this society. He understands how things work around here. At this point, the spoiled kid was so deluded that he believed that the teacher was going to tell Alex, well, actually, Alex, the spoiled kid is the king of the third grade society. So, in fact, you need to listen to everything that he says. Believe it or not, that was not the case. So Alex went up to the teacher, and the teacher's like, hey, Alex, like, do you guys have your, because people were walking up to hand in their projects or presentations or whatever, right? Group assignments. And Alex is like, no, sir, I actually don't, like, and I have a reason for it. And the teacher's like, okay, like, because the teacher's heard, oh my God, my dog ate my homework. Oh my God, my mom ate my homework. He's heard every excuse under the sun. But Alex goes on to explain it. And by the end of it, the teacher's like, so if I go to this kid and I ask him and I basically say, like, is it true that you didn't do your part of the assignment because you believe that you're the king, that he'll say yes. And this was a bit of a risky move for Alex because maybe there's a chance that the spoiled kid would have smartened up and realized that he would have gotten out of this if he just said that he probably wouldn't have gotten out of it. But there's a chance for sure that the spoiled kid would have pretended that he never was acting like a king and that he had respect for all of them the entire time. Right? But sure enough, right, the teacher goes over and it is, he walks over and he's like, hey, spoiled kid, says his actual name. Is it true that you didn't do your work because you believe that you're, I'm quoting this, a king? Is that true? And the spoiled kid says, yes, Mr. Davenport, you are 100% correct by that. I know that you understand how this all works. I am the king and these are my peasants. And obviously, I would be the one who delegates, not the one who works. Teacher just kind of gives him this look of like, what? And then the teacher turns to, oh my God, Alex, sorry, I forgot the name. Turns to Alex and gives him a look of like, I did not expect this, man. Okay. And the teacher's like, I didn't totally expect you to say that. So no one's a king or a peasant in this class. You're all third graders here. And I guess I'm the king because this is my classroom, but don't call me that. So what you're saying is you didn't do the work. And the spoiled kid at this point was starting to like realize that maybe this wasn't going so well for him. So the spoiled kid's like, well, I mean, obviously I didn't do the work because I'm the king and they're my peasants or something. And you could tell the spoiled kid was starting to become less and less, he started to believe less and less in what he was saying. And the teacher's like, well, I mean, if you don't do the work, you're going to get a 0 on the assignment. And at this point, the spoiled kid just stops responding because he starts to realize that his whole ideology is nonsense, right? And he's like, well, I mean, okay, so spoiled kid, I will give you until Monday to make this up. If you come in Monday with a paragraph that you need, this will all be forgotten as long as I don't hear any more of this calling other people peasants or calling yourself a king nonsense, then no one will know, like this will be not swept under the rug, but I won't care about it. But you got to turn in that paragraph on Monday. And if I hear another word from you about you being a king, someone else is a peasant, then to the front office you will go. So guess what happened next Monday? The spoiled kid came in. He had a piece of paper. He immediately handed it to the teacher. And you know what Alex and his friends didn't hear for the rest of that year? They didn't hear any nonsense from the spoiled kid about he is a king and they must respect his authority in the third grade
Click on the
society.
video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it.